Hello, everyone. This is Miss Marianne with Sunday School, and I hope you guys are all doing really well and enjoying some of the beautiful fall weather we've been having. Today's story is from the book To Everything by Bob Barner. And this was inspired by some verses in the book of Ecclesiastes. Isn't that a fun word? Ecclesiastes. And that is a book in the Old Testament, a very short book. And these verses have inspired a lot of different artists in different ways. Many books, and most notably, though, a very famous song from the 1960s. It's done by a lot of people, but most particularly by the Byrds. A band called the Byrds. And there's actually a link in the email with this lesson. And I encourage you when you're done with this video to check that out. It's a video of that song, and it's kind of a fun way to explore this story more because the verses in that song pretty much are exactly from the Bible. And it's a really beautiful song. So check that out when you're done with this. But before we get to this story, a couple housekeeping notes. One is that we are still doing Mid-Mig Missions, and most importantly, we are getting ready for our Thanksgiving basket project, which is one of the biggest things that we in K5 do. We provide Thanksgiving food baskets to families with Gladden Community House, and those baskets are needed more than ever this year. And we are doing a survey of our families to see who wants to be involved and at what level you will be able to be involved so that we can tell Gladden Community House how many baskets we're going to be able to provide so that they can have people ready and not promise them to people that aren't going to be able to get them. So definitely if you haven't gotten that survey information, let me or Julie Richards know so that we can know about your interest and can get that information so that we can start getting ready on that. It's a really great project to be involved with. So encourage you to do that. All right. If you have your altar items from our drive-through bags, you can get those out and set them up next to you if you haven't already. I have mine back here. So I've got my cross back here and my battery-operated candle that you can turn on when we get to that part. And then I've added a couple rocks to mine that come from places where I have felt God. And so I encourage you to add some things to yours. I wonder what you have that can help remind you of God for your altar. And if you didn't get one of those bags, they are still available outside First Community North. So you can stop by the entrance by the daycare and pick one of those up so you can have that to help you with Sunday school. All right, I think we are ready for our candle and opening prayer. And let's just take a second to take a deep breath to help get us ready for our prayer and our story. Dear God, thank you for this way of being together. Help us to remember that there is a time for everything, and that you are just a prayer away when things in our lives include things that we didn't plan for or that seem hard. Amen. I will put that back here. There we go. To everything. That's a pretty little opening there. Isn't that pretty? I love the illustrations in this. This one's good too. To everything, there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die. A time to plant, a time to pick. a time to tear apart, a time to sew together. A time to cry, a time to laugh. A time to mourn, a time to dance. A time to give, a time to receive. A time to hold, a time to let go. A time to be silent, a time to speak. A time for love, a time for anger. A time for war, a time for peace. To everything, there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. I wonder what you thought about this story. I wonder if anything surprised you in this story. I noticed that this story talked about good things, but also times that might be difficult. I wonder if that surprised you, that there was a time for anger or a time for war. I wonder if that's a hard idea to accept. I wonder what you think about the idea that there is a time for everything. The book said that there are times to be sad, but also times to dance. And I wonder when you've been sad, I wonder what made you feel better. I wonder when you like to dance. The book said that there were times to give and times to receive. I wonder what is something you have given. I wonder what is something you have received. I wonder if there are some things that we can give and receive that are not like presents that come in boxes. I wonder when is a good time to be silent. I wonder when is a good time to speak. This story tells us that all things have a season in our lives. And while this means that the hard things are a part of our lives and that we can't avoid them all the time, but it's also telling us that they won't last forever. That they're just a season. And that just like the seasons of fall and winter, they will pass and we'll have a new season. When I was getting ready for this, I read the Bible verses, and in there, it includes the verse that there is a time to embrace and a time to refrain. And I was really struck by the Bible talking about that, because I know a lot of us right now are not able to embrace and hug people that we would like to. And it's comforting to know that obviously that happened 6,000 years ago when those words were written. And it passed. And this will pass too. There will be a time to be together again. And God is with us through all of it. And I wonder how that makes you feel. And I wonder what you're going to do this week. I hope you find something really fun. Don't forget to check out that song after you watch this. I think you'll like it. And then maybe think of another way to explore this story. There's lots of different artists. We saw a book and we saw a song about these verses. So I bet you could come up with a fun way to interpret this story too. Let us do our closing prayer. Follow along with me if you want. Loving God, thank you for the times that bring us close to you and to one another. Help us to remember that you are always with us. Amen. And I will change this light so the light of Christ can be with you wherever you are and wherever you go. This light will find you and be there when you need it. Blessings to you. Take care.